So that's why the verse uses the verbal form Jayantassa, one who is practicing jhana, the act of meditation aimed at becoming samahito, one who possesses samadhi. And so in Buddhism, we could say that the Buddha's teaching, it's somewhat like a pharmacy with many different medicines to fit different types of illnesses. So people have different kinds of mental afflictions, mental defilements. So the Buddha teaches many different methods or subjects of meditation intended as the antidotes to these defilements. And so we might say that our daily intake, the regular supply of nutrients that we take into our regular meals, that might be compared to the practice of something like mindfulness of breathing, using a very, very simple method of meditation that lights up the contents of our mind, since when we're trying to focus on the breath, and all of the different thought formations, desires, inclinations, tendencies, impulses of the mind start coming into awareness. So that is what sort of helps us get acquainted with the workings of our mind, to come to better understand our mind, and to help us learn to quiet down the mind and to gain some degree of concentration. But then other mental afflictions start to intrude upon the mind. And when that happens, then one can resort to some of the other meditation subjects as a way of balancing the mind and clearing away those mental afflictions. For example, some people become prone, when they start to meditate, sort of unconscious or unrecognized states of anger.
Good morning to everyone across the world: Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Australia, Laos, Myanmar, Thailand. Today's Sunday. Good morning to all of you on the west side of the world. This morning we started a little late. Novice and myself had to respond to emergencies over the weekend at hospitals, so we are exhausted. When people, it's funny, out of all of the teachings that I could put on this wonderful TV behind me, I put Bhikkhu Bodhi, who started out with Sila, gift of safety. And when people don't give the gift of safety, and when they don't keep the precept, they wind up in the ER, right? Especially refraining from intoxicating substances. And so so we monks have to respond. We have to do our duties to respond. And when we respond at 2 a.m. in hospitals because people don't keep Sila, then we show up looking like this. It's a good test for all of you, because you all need to have your book on you always. When I was an interpreter, I had to go to doctor's offices and government offices. We all know doctor's offices and government offices. You have to sit for a very long time. And I wasn't going to sit there and waste my life. So therefore, at any and all given time, something is with me, some material is with me, so that I can read and make the best out of it, or use the phone. So therefore, every second of your life should not be wasted waiting on anybody or anything. Okay, so before we start service this morning, Novice Lee and myself, Novice Lee is learning to chant. He's a novice of 2 months now? 3 months? 2 months now. So this will also be introduction to all of you to the language of Pali, the original language of the Buddha. So this morning we're going to chant. And this will familiarize yourself with the pronunciation, the way how Pali is written, and then later you can actually go back and trace the meaning of it. right? Because we're obviously not going to spend Sunday tracing Pali. That would take about 1,000 years. And the hardest word to define in Pali is actually dukkha, suffering. All right, so we're going to start with chanting this morning, something that is we don't do often. However, it will be a good thing for all of you. Okay. And actually, to my surprise, and obviously, does a really good job trying to pronounce and follow along. So y'all can try to follow along as best as you can. Okay, this is how you impress Theravadan teachers when we chant, and then we hear some white kid in the back, some Puerto Rican kid in the back, some African American kid in the back chanting, and we can hear everything, and we're like, "What? Someone knows Pali?" So I'm pretty sure my teachers were very surprised that 20 years ago when I showed up, 22 years ago when I sat in the back, and all of a sudden there was this voice, this little kid in the back chanting without needing the use of the book. I don't know why, as the older I get, I need to use the book. But when I was young, like you guys, younger than you guys, I was able to chant the entire book without looking at it. That's how good my memory was. So let us go to page 2 on top. Now, the one that is in italic is Pali, and the one underneath it is Vietnamese. No Vietnamese this morning. You'll pull your hair out of your head trying to read Pali and Vietnamese. Let us begin. Ime hidi patu padisa kare hibu tang thamang sangkang apipuchaya mimata pita gunawan tan nine cha mai hai cha diet haratang athaya hitaya sukhaya Puche mi buatang kusume nanena Buonyena mete na chahon tu mokan Pupang milaya tiyatha idang me Tathaya tiwina sawan Puche mi dhammang Buonyena mete na chahon tu mokan Pupang milaya tiyatha idang me Kayo tathaya tiwina safawan Uche misangkang kusume nanena Buonyena mete na chahon tumokang Pupang milaya tiyatha idang me Tathaya tiwina safawan Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Page 4. Sagikame charupe girisikaраtate chantalike vimane diperate chakame taruvanagahane Yehawantum hikete pumma jayantu dewa jalatala wisame ya tatam tapanaga tirtang tasang tike yang munikara wacanang savahome sunantu thamma savanakalo ayam padanta thamma savanakalo Ayam padanta thamma savanakalo ayam padanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa namo arahato sama sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. The one thing with chanting, especially the homage to the Buddha, the Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, that means you have to really follow along. Some of us monks chant it 4 times, just extra, because we're not mindful. 1, 2, 3. No different than the Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Kachami, and then Dutiyampi Dhammang, and then Dutiyampi Sanghang. But somewhere down the line, somebody always mess up, and it's always the senior teachers that messes up. And they're like, Tatiyampi. For the third time, I go to the Buddha for homage. For the third time, I go to the teachings of the Buddha. So every time when the first couple ones, every time when you see repetitiveness, just wait for it. Because someone messes up, and usually the novice in the back, they giggle when we mess up. So one of the way to remain mindful is following along the chants to the point where, just like when I'm holding the microphone and I give teachings without having to open my eyes, the script is already there. You're training your memory to remember the teachings. Monks train their memory in the teachings of the Buddha in Pali and then translate it in our head and then memorize also. It's very complicated up here. But this trains your mind how to remember and not to forget the teachings of the Buddha. Let us go to page 7. Yo san nisin no varamodhi putle marang sasenang mahatim vijayo sambodhimaka chi anya tanya no loko tamo tang panamami buddhang ye cha buddha atita cha ye cha buddha anagata Jupanna Jaye Buddha Ahang Wanda Misapada. Here's the 9 qualities of the Buddha. Iti viso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vicha charana sampanno sukhato Lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satha deva manutsanang buddho bhagavati natti me saranang anyang buddho me saranang warang etena saca vacena hotu me Jayamangalang uttamang ginawandehang padapam sumwaruttamang buddheyo kalito doso buddho kama tutang mamang attang gikariya pato jananang moka pawesaya ujo jamako Thammo ayang sang tikaro panito niyaniko tang panamami dhammang ye cha dhamma atita cha ye cha dhamma anagata Pajupanna cha ye dhamma ahang wanda misapada Swagato Bhagavata Dhammo Sandhyadhiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanahiko Pajatang Veditabo Vinyohiti Natime Saranang Warang Natime Saranang Anyang Dhammo Me Saranang Warang Etena Saca Vajena Hotu Me Jayamangalang Uttamang Gena Vandehang Dhammai Jaduitang Warang Dhamme Yo Kalito Doso Dhammo Kamatutan Mamang Sangho Visuddho Varadakkhineyo Santendriyo Sappamalappahino Gunehine Gehi Sameti Pato Anasavotang Panamami Sanghang Ye Cha Sangha Atita Cha Ye Cha Sangha Anagata Pajupanna Cha Ye Sangha Ahang Wanda Misapada Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ujjupatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Nyayapatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Samijjipatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Yadidang Cattari Purisa Yukani Atta Purisa Pukkala Esa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakkineyo Anjalikaraniyo Anutarang Bunyaketang Lokasati Nati Me Saranang Anyang Sangho Me Saranang Warang เอเตนะสาจวายเจนะโหตุเมจยมังกลังอุตตมังเกนะวันเดหังสังฆังจตุวิโทตมังสังเฮโยกะลิโตโดโสสังโฆขมาตุตังมะมังวันดามิเจติยันสัพพัมสัพพทานเดสุปฏิติตังสารีติกถาตุมหาโพธิเหมโบธารูปังสกลังสาดาสัพเพสัทธาอเวราโหนตุสุขิตาโหนตุนิดุกาโหนตุอัพยาปัจจาโหนตุอนิกาโหนตุดีหายุกาโหนตุอโรกาโหนตุสัพพติหิสมิจันตุสุขิอาตานังภริหารันตุดุขปัตตาจนิดุขปยาปัตตาจเนปยาโสขปัตตาโหนตุสัพเพปิปานิโนยังเกณจิกุสลกัมมังกาตาปัมคิริยังมัมมกายเยนวัจจามนัสสาติระเสสุกตังกตังเยสัตตาสานิโนจัตติเสตสัตตาจะสานิโนกตังบุญญาพลังไมหังสาเปบากีบวันตุเตเยตังกตังสุวิดิตังเดนนังปุญญาพลังมายาเยตาจัจจนนันติเดวะกันตวานิเวเดยุงสัพเพโลกัมหิเยสตาจีวันตาหาระเหตุกามนุญญังปุจจนังสัพเพละพันตุมมะเจตัสสะติอากาสัทธาจะพงมาธาเดวานากามเหนดิกาปุญญังโนอนุโมดันตุจิรังรักกันตุสาสนังจะพงมาธาเดวานากามเหนดิกาปุญญังโนอนุโมดันตุจิรังรักกันตุรัตถเกอากาสัทธาจะพงมาธาเดวานากามเหนดิกาปุญญังโนอนุโมดันตุจิรังรักกันตุญาตโยอากาสัทธาจะพงมาธาเดวานากามเหนดิกาปุญญังโนอนุโมดันตุจิรังรักกันตุภานิโนอากาสัทธาจะพงมาธาเดวานากามเหนดิกาปุญญังโนอนุโมดันตุจิรังรักกันตุโนSada. And lastly, Ang Watame Danang Aswat Kayang Wahang. Hold on here, hold on. Idang Watame Danang Aswat Kaya Wahang. Aswat Kaya Wahang. Hotu Butto Hang. Bodhayisami Mutto Hang. โมจเยภเรตินโนหังตาไรสัมมิสัมสโรกัมมหัพพยา I'm ready to retire. This concludes the chanting for today. Aswat kaya wahang. Aswat kaya wahang. Aswat kaya wahang. Seems short to me. It seems longer when you look at it, but it's short when you actually spell it out. Yeah. Thank God for English. Okay. All right. Okay, so any questions on Buddhism over the past week? Hopefully, in the past week, you all have reflected in the teachings of the Buddha. So what questions do you have? That's how I know you have not been reflecting. Anyone went through the... That's a good one. This is my cheat sheet. This is 84,000 teachings, 45 years of his teachings compressed into 5 pages. Because I knew you all had no questions for me. See, I know these things. But this one I don't say often, but here we go. The Buddha saw the 3 afflictions, the 3 poisons. These are the 3 chronic forces that are the root cause of all suffering. Attachment, which is desire, anger, aversion, and those 2 are fueled by ignorance of the 4 Noble Truths. Today we go back to the basics. It's good for obviously, it's good for all of you to review the basics. Never forget the basics. To the point where you all can recite the basics. That's what you want. You want to be able to recite the basics anytime I ask you to recite the basics. And it is exactly the basics that you will be needing to teach people in your life. Girlfriend, boyfriend, nephew, aunt, grandma, sister, don't matter. The basics. When the Buddha saw the 4 sights, the monk, the sick man, the old man, and the corpse, lead to a detachment from ephemeral pleasures. And I'm sorry, I hold this in my face. No one can see my face. Sorry. Lead to a detachment from ephemeral pleasure and motivated Siddhartha, the Buddha, to renounce his comfortable life. He realized that no matter how privileged a person is, ultimately the realities of old age, sickness, and death will have to be faced. Would have to be faced. This is something that a lot of people overlook. The fear of old age, death, decay, disease. Something a lot of people overlook. And a lot of people seem to push it aside until the moment comes where it hits them. The problem here is that when it hits them, when does it hit you that you're going to die as you are dying? When is it going to hit you? When is it going to hit you? So the Buddha left the palace, right? The Buddha says, look, I got to go and figure this thing out, this life, this old age, death, decay, disease. I'm terrified of this thing. He told his dad. And his dad was like, no. You're the only son that I have. You need to, oh, by the way, they tested me last night. Prisha, how did she test me that last night?
With I remember she was saying she thought it was his brother.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't his brother, it was his cousin.
All right, count 1. Okay, what? Count 2. And before that?
The age.
Nope.
How much you were eating? No.
Had nothing to do with eating. As I was eating, she tested me on the other teaching. Do you remember? Let's see how mindful Novice Lee actually really is. Ghostsmith.
Yes. The alms bowl and going around in the alms rounds and asked me about why they cannot refuse.
As a young emerging teacher, you never know when they actually don't know or they're testing you. But look at it as a test. Say his brother. But if you didn't read, you wouldn't know. How I should have recorded that last night. How embarrassing, right? Because this color represents control over a body of knowledge, which is the teachings of the Buddha. And then they're scratching their head, and you're also scratching your head, and you're like, yeah, yeah, his brother. Yeah, what was his name again? Know your stuff, people. Know your stuff. They would test you. It threw me off, and I'm like, what? Brother? He didn't have a brother. I had to go back in. I'm like, where'd you read that? How'd you get that? I was going to answer a question with a question, but that would be, So the Buddha told his dad, I got to go. His dad begged him, don't go. Enjoy the fruits here, become a great general, become a great king. And along the path, of course, so he went off, right? Everyone's heartbroken. They all cry. The king cried. The king told the ministers to find my son, report back to me what he's doing. And the king wrote a letter to the Buddha begging him. And when you read the biography of the Buddha, you realize there were some very sharp, emotionally sharp words designed to reel someone back in. So just imagine your wife and imagine your girlfriend begging you to come back. Say you change your mind. Say you want to leave them, you change your mind, and they want you back. And they use the most heart-wrenching words. And they recall all of the memories, all of the good memories, all of the times we had together, the kisses, the holding hands, the flowers, picking out the wedding dress, God knows, whatever. Shoe shopping for the young one here, wedding dress over here. And please come back. It's the right thing to do. Please come back. Are you going to do the right thing, or are you going to do what you really want to do, Julius? Right. So therefore, there's many tactics, right, to try to reel someone back in. Psychological tactics. And the Buddha was like, I'm pretty sure he was very wise and understand what the ministers were trying to do to him. And the Buddha was like, no, I understand everyone is sad, but what is even more fearful and compelling and pressing right now, urgent, imminent, and pertinent, is old age, death, disease, and decay. How could you all not see that looming right around the corner and to find liberation from those sights, from the experience of being human? So, I was very moved by this couple of sentences that I wrote. And I also forgot my book because everyone else forgot their book. So I forgot my book. You see how that works? See, when you all do the right thing, not what you really want to do, then the teacher, don't forget. We call this the blame game, by the way. But, on the path to being a monk, yeah, we want to disrobe sometimes. We're just like, yeah, we want to grab a cup of beer and we want to go back to the strip clubs and gambling and all of the sinful things that people do. But it is exactly, not all monks, by the way. I should not say that. All the monks are, what? What does he mean, monks? Us. What does he mean, us? I'll say I, okay? I, all right? I should not generalize because they're all good and holy. I have a unique way of teaching. Praise and blame. I get more blame than praise. Along the path, you will have doubts. All right? You will have doubts along the way. Is the Buddha real? Did he, in fact, was he born here? Was he raised here? Did he actually achieve enlightenment here? You'll have doubts. Okay? Some teaching, you're just like, what? Some teachings, yeah, a lot of people are like, huh? And, some of the story you read, yes.
That reminds me, there was this story in the Nikayas that I read, where when it said when the Buddha was born, he took 7 steps. Like he was carried by like deities. He took 7 steps, and then he announced like what he would do in his life. And I guess there was like 4 deities in the corner of each room. And I guess I was just wondering, is that like a metaphor, or is that something that they're saying that actually happens?
Who knows? And who actually cares? There are arguments in translations where one time I read, and they're like, well, the Buddha got up and left. And then somebody said no. And then someone, I think the Chinese translation said he levitated. They're like, no. You know, and then there's like the multiple translations of it. There's also multiple translations of the life of the Buddha in different languages by different authors, right? So it's important that all of us kind of like, what is the point of this? You know, and then again, he came back as the Buddha, and his dad also was like, "You're what? You're the Buddha. You're the Sammasambuddho. What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And the father didn't believe him, King Suddhodana. So the Buddha levitated off the ground. Half his body was fire, half his body was water. And everyone was like, "Okay, can you come back down now and ordain us?" So a lot of things sounds fictional. I give no importance to whether he got up and left and got a cheeseburger, or he actually levitated and disappeared, or he just disappeared into thin air. Who cares? The value lies in the point of the teachings. The value lies in the pertinent teachings. The value lies in how do we deal with our greed, anger, and delusion. However they want to paint. The same thing they wrote about Jesus, right? And the missing periods of Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Joseph, his father, and all of the miracles that Jesus performed. When we look at miracles and we look at the superpowers of of monks, who cares? Who can levitate? Who cares? Who can levitate, right? The one supernatural power in human to cultivate is, damn it, mindfulness. What did you eat yesterday? Huh? Vipsha asked 2 questions in question, and you couldn't remember the first one, and I had to cough Goldsmith. You see that? Well, he obviously don't have supernatural powers, right? And the one supernatural powers one needs to possess is mindfulness in this lifetime, right? Yeah, get through that before we start looking at other miracles that Jesus performed, other miracles that the Buddha in fact displayed, right? Okay. That's how I crack the whip. Okay. So along the way, we have doubts, and I find it very compelling to not take this off by going back to the biography of the Buddha. And you know, to me, the Buddha is like one of the most skillful lawyers you can ever ask for, because they're trying to make their case. The ministers opened up this letter and read this letter to Siddhartha, reeling him back in. I mean, it was emotional. It makes you want to cry. A father trying to communicate with a son. Of course, back in the day, the real meaning of a father, not what we have nowadays, of toxic parenting. But, you know, and like the son's heart, the heart of a son. And I can't only imagine what my dad tells me these things. I was like, oh, wow. But the realization, the penetrative insight of old age, death, disease, and decay, of which I mastered. I decay every day. We've all gone through the disease, COVID, and death. I've had multiple death experiences, some intentionally, like jumping out of a plane twice in 1 hour. So I really pushed the limit. You've gone skydiving before?
No.
Don't do it. Because if you do it and you actually die, people blame me. Like the Venerable did it, so he told us to do it, and then that's why my child is dead. Don't do it. So some intentionally wanting to experience death and just like, oh, what is it going to be like at the moment of death? I got what I asked for too, by the way. Got what I asked for. And like I've said multiple times, if I'm going to suffer a stroke now and be paralyzed right now on this floor, and my consciousness is still luminous, and all the good things that I have done, I know. For all the bad things I've done, I know. And how fast I let go in the moments before the paramedics crawl up the stairs to get here, I know. So the Buddha basically made his compelling case, and the ministers fell to their knees. Was very inspired by that. The minister is just doing their job. King says, go out, find my son, give him this letter, and use everything that you got. I mean, the best of the best. The deputies of the kings, the ministers. And I wanted to cry in my bed and reading the biography of the Buddha. And I'm like, okay, we'll go forth. And he did, he went forth. So never forget that when you read the first noble truth. A lot of people forget that. And I also forgot to mention that over the past couple of years, to press on that. And now I'm pressing on it now into your mind, the impression that your mind should have in regards to the 4 sights of the Buddha. See, I just read that little portion and then expand on it. And by the way, the point of it is to always remind yourself, death, disease, decay, birth, death, disease, decay. How do we remind ourselves? Pay attention the way how you pee. Pay attention to the way how you poop. Our religious practice is mind and body. Pay attention, mindfulness of the body, Kaya Nupassana, which is morbid. People who are watching right now, they're like, damn, dude, it's Sunday. We talking about this on a Sunday? Your body gives direct evidence to decay. Your body gives direct evidence to disease. Your body gives direct evidence, direct, immediate, experiential evidence to dying. When your poop looks weird, there's a little book called What Your Poo is Telling You. Literally, they sell that. And doctors learn what you're made of what are your bunch of chemicals made of, carbon and every other elements. It's interesting. They are technicians of the human body. Men's health, because we're all men here in this room. When you're young, the stream of your pee is strong. Stream. Be grateful. Be grateful how you pee. As you get to middle age and into the urological health aspect of it, no different than menopause for women, your stream to become weak. So is erection. And that these are you will find your way into the urological office. I'm telling you, that's why they have that branch of medicine. And when your sex life is being affected and male's health life, prostate cancer, all these issues that we men have to deal with after 40, get ready for it. Death is knocking after 40. Decay is knocking after 40. Aging is right around the corner. So get ready for your urologist to ask you all sorts of questions. So enjoy it now. Mindfully and skillfully enjoy whatever it is you're doing out there. Eating asparagus. We all know that. Eat fruits, vegetables, but pay attention to your body. When you poop, look at it. Why? Because the Buddha said so. The Buddha says, be mindful when attending to nature's call. See, he said it so beautifully. We monks just like Pay attention when you poop on a Sunday. Okay, the color of it, the shape of it, the shape of your poop, let you know if you have IBS, IBS-C, IBS-D, and other issues. If there's blood in the stool, yeah. So therefore, so we take one thing out of decay and aging and we expand on it to help you all realize it. You got to pay attention to these things. If not, you just live your life wondrously, mindlessly wondering about things. When I look at Novice Lee's red robes, it reminds me of blood. Blood in the body, blood that can come out of the body, blood transfusions, donating blood, plasma, white blood cells, red blood cells count. There's so many things to be reminded of. And when girls look at Novice Lee, they're like, oh my God, it's, the hell is that? Oh, Valentine's Day. They equate red with Valentine's Day. He's young, he's 21, he's got tattoos. Their mind goes into delusion, right? No, ladies, calm down. That is the color of death. It's not the color of Valentine's. Okay. So you have to, that's what we monks meditate on. In the morning, we meditate on the Four Noble Truths, on death, on aging, decay. We look at the wrinkles on our hands, look at the wrinkles on our face to remind us. We look at all these things that remind us. When we're pooping, obviously, clearly, we're very mindful. When we're showering, we're very mindful. Everything that we're doing, we're very mindful of it. Number 2, I can sit here for days expanding on the foresights. I'm not going to do it to you guys. Yes.
The question on disease decay. How to put a person at ease if the person is too much concentrating on I'm old, I'm going to die.
It's the nature of being human.
Mhm.
You buy a bird, you buy a squirrel, you buy a flying squirrel, you buy a fish, you buy this goldfish, you put it in a tank, it swims around, it looks at you with its big old eyes. Through time, it gets older. Through time, it gets bigger and fat. A fat goldfish, right? And then you're like, why is this goldfish fat? I don't get it. It looks pregnant, right? I don't want the fish to be fat. I don't want the fish to swim slow. Why isn't it going fast like the first day I got it, right? Same thing with our bodies. We want to be young. We want to be young and effective and run up the stairs and do all these things and not have backaches. It cannot be so, said Ajahn Chah. It cannot be so. This is your body. This is the pain that you will experience right now. Right now, you have back pain. Right now. Feel it? Feel the lower back? Feel the knees? Feel the neck? Feel the breathing. So much effort in breathing. So much weight or back. I can sit here, bitch, cry, moan. Yes? People do it all the time. Bitching, crying, and moaning. We call that the complainers, right? Language of the layman. Buddha gave us permission to use language of the people. And so, yeah, we all grew up moaning, right? Bitching and crying, right? I'll wake up at 7 in the morning for school. Do we not? We get hit in hockey, right? And we're like, oh, God. Mother of Jesus. and then you cuss, right? Right? And obviously you have you're an old man, obviously. You are 21 years old, and how many times? Tell us your complaints.
Pull the scroll out.
See? What are your complaints, Julius?
Right on my neck hurts.
My neck, my back, my toes.
My feet fell asleep.
Your feet fell asleep.
Mine too.
You don't see me complaining. That's how you know I've practiced right. That's how you know I've practiced for a long time, right? If you have a teacher that you thought is experienced, authentic, good, and he's moving a lot during Dhamma talks, he hasn't been sitting long. He's been partying a little too long. He's been standing there with Chardonnay. He hasn't been sitting and meditating, right? Now, obviously, here, can you crack my back? You're supposed to be cracking my back. I'm the senior teacher. I get massages. You know, in Thailand, senior teachers get massages from all the little monks. They go there and they're like, you know, from head to toe. Damn it. Here I am. He's asking for me to adjust his back in a chiropractic way. The hell? What in the hell? All right. You just need to see the nature of reality. The true nature of never forget this. The true nature of reality of my body. Understanding one's monkey, you understand the rest of the other monkeys. Understanding one's body, you understand the rest of the other bodies. The monkey mind, the human body. Simple. I cremate all three of you. Your bones look very similar. I cut 3 of your ears and put it here and then move it around. Well, you're all white. So it's like, where's my ears? Right? They look the same. Little shape, a little trying to you imagine trying to put the ear back on and like, what is this yours or is this mine? Right? Yes, people have attachment to their body. That is actually the greatest attachment of all. It's their bodies. $1 billion in dermatology. Skincare. My body. No, it's not. No, it's not. When you get sick, you will it not to get sick. Now you ain't gonna listen. Not gonna listen. So I don't really care about my body. I'm here to serve. That's the right attitude. You dedicate your body, speech, and mind to serve. You study, you use all of the gifts that the Buddha gave you. All the gifts that Jesus Christ gave you. All the gifts that the universe have given you. Allah, Vishnu, Shiva gave you. And you serve the people. That's how you will forget about the unattractive nature of your body. Be of use and of service to the people. Eat, poop, sleep, sex. Useless. Last night before we ate, what did I say?
The food that we eat is to go do the right thing for the right reason, right time, right people, and to be used wisely.
And David said what?
It was very wise.
I didn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people thought about that. The food that's in front of you, you're going to eat that and enjoy Netflix? You're going to eat that and go have 2 hours of sex? You're going to eat that and go cheat, lie, kill, and steal? Do you know the amount of water is needed to make a burger? Does anyone know the hundreds of gallons of water? It's got to be 100. It ain't. Look it up. It's on my phone. How much water is needed to make a burger? Look it up for me. You can move around, make yourself comfortable. Just because I'm like a rock, you don't mean you have to sit like a rock like I do. Go ahead.
Okay, anybody have any guesses about a 1/3 burger? 1/3 pound burger?
What?
660 gallons for a 1/3 pound burger.
Oh,
1 pound of beef requires 1,799 gallons of water.
catch this for a second. There you go. He's only 5 feet away, folks. I'll wait for Julius to come back. That's a lot of damn water. That's a lot of damn water. Holy cow. To a monk, we cry. Now, obviously, the other day I told you to retain the bottled water, the remaining, because we have a lot of students and they use bottled water and they never throw them away and they leave leftovers. What I instruct you to do with those bottled waters,
Save them for the fish tank.
save them for the fish tank. Save the water for the fish tank. It's like this much water in a bottle like this. And how much guilt I feel drinking this thing and the plastic that comes back into the environment. No one ever thinks about that. What am I doing with my body? It needs to be of service for the people. Or else I'm a useless human. And people never thought about that. The amount of burgers that they eat in America. And how they do not use that for the right reason. It is wise guilt. It's not here to make people feel like crap, but it is wise guilt. What have you done for? What have you given back to society? No one ever actually thought about that. And you see the selfish desire, having kids, getting married, and yeah, I get it. Yeah, but hopefully a couple volunteer their time to help people. All right, turn on the microphone, Brennan. Read to us what you have found. Oh, it turned on. Hold on. Oh.
Okay, so this is from
Door, Julius.
This is from 2014, and it says a 1/3 pound burger requires 660 gallons of water.
Say again.
A 1/3 pound burger requires 660 gallons of water. Most of this water is for producing beef. 1 pound of beef requires 1,799 gallons of water, which includes the irrigation of the grains and grasses and feed, plus water for drinking and processing. And then 1 slice of bread requires 11 gallons of water.
See the look on my face.
Mind you, that was also in 2014, so.
All right, so it goes back, right? We are who we are. We're here. Now what we're going to do forward affects our future and the future of our generation and the world and our planet. Keep eating and keep pooping. And that's why every time before we eat in Buddhism, especially with me, when you eat with me, my hand is together and I remind everyone at the table, may all the calories that we eat today, now, may all the calories that go into this body and the output of energy there is to come and forthcoming, may it be for the benefit of other people. May we dedicate our mind, body, and speech for the benefit of other people. So when you actually read the Nikayas, we spoke about the Nikayas earlier, a lot of things are repetitive. Why Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa 3 times. 3. And then you're going to see so many things repeat itself because the Buddha wanted people to repeat themselves. The Buddha told that we need to chant 2-3 times a day so we don't forget. So I have a way of. Moving on to compassion. By the way, these are the 3 remedies. I'm reading you all the 3 remedies. I described the problem. The problem is attachment, aversion, and ignorance, right? Greed, anger, hatred, and ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. And the Buddha gave the 3 remedies, the 3 types of potent medicine, emergency medicine. I just spoke about renunciation, which is, how he saw the 4 sights: old age, death, disease, decay. That is renunciation. Now I'm going to read you all compassion. After having achieved enlightenment, the Buddha knew the cause of suffering, and he also knew how to defeat suffering. Out of compassion for all sentient beings, the Buddha decided to share his insight with others. So the least that you can do is to share your insight with others. In Christianity, share the good news. Share the good Christians share the good news in hope other people would convert. But they're doing their part. Everyone's doing their part. And all religions are doing their part. Share the good news. He became a tireless teacher for 45 years. Be the tireless student for 45 years. Tireless. Isn't it funny we find that word again? Tireless. In the Christianity world, they said, never tired of
Forgiving and asking for forgiveness.
tireless. Tirelessly playing hockey. Tirelessly playing airsoft. Tirelessly driving to Tallahassee. Tireless. These are the 3 antidotes needed to overcome the 3 afflictions. With renunciation, wisdom, and compassion, you're able to defeat desire, aversion, and ignorance. Does that make sense so far? Any questions so far? That's a good question that you said earlier. How does one not be attached to the negativity of one's true nature? Our mind is veered high percentage, I would say 70-80% veered towards negativity. That's why everyone's complaining, right? You go to work, everyone's complaining. People are always complaining, always negative. Why are you so negative, Felicia? Why are you so negative, Karen, Tom, Dick, Harry? Why are y'all so negative? Because the mind veers that way. In order to combat the negativity nature, the automatic, perpetual, chronic nature of the mind is to meditate, is to meditate on the Four Noble Truths, meditate on loving kindness, meditate on how can I be of service to other people? Then when you are a service of other people, it reminds you of your self-value to the world. At some point in your life, you will feel worthless. I'm worthless. I'm a POS. I'm whatever you want to call it. Okay, people do that to themselves. They're very mean to themselves, right? I'm just being real. They beat themselves up. They go in a little corner, they hide in a little corner, and they beat themselves up. I'm worthless. I want to die. I want to commit suicide. Okay, we call that self-worth. Self-worth, self-concept, self-value. So we holy men teach you all. One way to cultivate self-esteem is to look at how how you can help in this house, how you can help people in your home, first and foremost, help yourself, help people in your home, help people in your group, and then help people in your community. Then because you do that, come on in, Jorge. Oh man, look at his outfit. Come here, come over here and show the world your outfit. Here, I'll take that.
There you go. I got you some little croissants and some apples for the top. Hey, good morning.
Novice,
Master.
Novice. Imagine this in the alms bowl.
It will be so.
That's what they do. They offer food to us. Imagine this in my alms bowl in the morning, 6 a.m, and I have to carry this back to the monastery.
Really? I'll chop it up.
This was the greatest thing ever right here. This is the greatest thing ever right here.
More like on top of the alms bowl.
I just took rebirth just now. I just died and came back to life just now. Do you know the jokes they play on Facebook? Because I have hundreds and thousands of friends on Facebook. And one of the jokes that they play is they would literally take coconuts, 4 of them, still stuck on the branch, and give it to the monk. And the monk with a small alms bowl was, they can't refuse what's being offered. And I just died every time when I see it. And then here is Jorge coming in with, this thing weighs as much as I do. Oh, there's the alms bowl up there. I'm dead. Thank you for
You're
this,
welcome.
for a good laugh. Not just the outfit, the whole world just seeing.
Yeah. Yeah. Beach outfit. After today.
And the book. No.
And the book, yeah, the book I've been reading. The book is just so good. Realms and realms of information.
You were the only one who brought the book.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Oh, see, I was waiting for that. See, I was waiting. You see how I looked at him? And I said, yeah, you punish them. That's right. You tell them. Yeah, exactly. We have too much fun in here.
I love it. It's so nice. Yeah. I couldn't wait. Last week was Mother's Day. My mom wouldn't stop partying.
So we were going through some basics. So let's bring Jorge up to speed and tell him what we've been talking about. So that, let's see what, now you become the teacher.
We've been talking about, what is it? Greed.
Oh yeah.
That's one of them. The other one was anger.
Oh, the defilements. Yeah,
Yeah,
the 5
and-
defilements that lead to. Yeah.
The last one was not following the Four Noble Truths.
Yeah.
So he was expanding on that and kind of just giving examples.
Can you give Julius the microphone?
Yes.
I like doing this to people, just for fun. This is how you become a teacher. Slowly become a teacher.
Hello. So we were just discussing greed, anger, and not following the Four Noble Truths, I believe. And he was giving examples and just going into depth on those topics. I don't know if I missed anything.
Give some examples. I spoke more than that.
So we talked about old age and death.
Oh yeah.
And how we are all subject to dying and growing old, and how the body starts to decay after a certain age. That was one example. I don't remember what you referenced for anger, but
Like right now.
inconveniences, how the body starts to ache, and people tend to complain. The mind is often negative most of the time. So we find it easy to complain about bodily things and experiences in our life. And the mind leans towards negativity often.
Good job.
Thank you.
If you could hand the microphone to, and I know some of you guys like a private life. Y'all don't want to say much. Y'all just want to come and listen to me and be rejoiced in the teachings. But this is how I get you out of your shell, right? You gotta get out of your shell. And the best way to learn something is to teach it. So, and then, so you're learning. And no one can see your face. No one have no idea who the hell Juliet is. So anyway, if you can give the microphone to Sergey. And there's 50 million Sergeys in Russia, so they don't know who you are.
And
So,
there's another 50 in Ukraine.
yes. So now you say what he missed or add on or something to it. Don't repeat what he said, but yes, see, now be different. Go ahead.
Okay, and I have very hard time talking when I hear myself, but I'll try. So the most important is how to kind of overcome all those values and how to feel good and feel valued is to help, first of all, help yourself, help your whoever you live in a house with, help your communities, and kind of like concentrate your basically the calories you consume, the food you consume, concentrate this energy towards helping others, helping yourself, and that's how you would basically forget about the. I mean, not forget, but you won't concentrate on the all the pain and suffering you experience and the feeling of worthless, being worthless. You would feel more in the whole and more valued because you're helping other people and you can see it. And you see yourself as part of a community, something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, that's actually, pardon me if I may. I actually read that yesterday. It's funny thing that you said that. I read it, hi, this is Jorge. I read it yesterday in the Dhammapada, this translation where that's exactly what they were talking about. They were saying how, to the Buddha, there's no difference between an imagined self, so like basically who you think you are, right? Whether that be Elon Musk sitting on a chair or just something else. It's still to the Buddha, it's almost like absurd to say that you are separate from everything else. And once you break that illusion, once you like veil, like you've already got a sneak peek by being here, we got the sneak peek, which that's all you really need. And that's what I learned yesterday. And that, once you break that veil and you connect to everyone, that life and death disappears by itself because there is no such thing. That's just it's a fragment placed upon us by consciousness. And the cool thing is that, yeah, we have this vehicle that we can get out of it, but it's the only one. And it is sad that others are not doing it, not taking advantage of that, but that's why we're here doing our thing, because done is what had to be done.
He just said we're here doing our thing. Go ahead. Now say your favorite quote. Just make it nice. We have inside jokes as monks. Go ahead.
Nice.
Hold the
I
microphone.
love it.
Do it the way you always do it, but just leave the other part out, the rated R stuff out. Go ahead.
I'm just doing my thing, and my thing is always better than your thing.
Heck yeah.
Followed by a bunch of words we're not going to mention here. Speak about what we just. You know why I'm eating in front of you all? It's like a theater. You instead of popcorn, Jorge got me bread. So you all feel comfortable in doing your thing while I'm doing my thing. This is the spectator seat. And this is the show right here. The show right here. Go ahead.
That bread takes 11 gallons of water.
Ah.
On that. And you were speaking about one thing that stood out was when you spoke about sometimes wanting to disrobe, but then going back to the biography of the Buddha and reading the life of the Buddha and how the ministers were sent by the king to try and reel him back in, and said very emotionally sharp words to try and get him reeled back in. And most people might take that option. It's easy. But he said, no. I'm going to continue out in the world. I'd like to see and figure out death, disease, decay, old age, suffering. He wanted to see it for himself. He could have had everything that he ever wanted and more, but he chose to go out into the world and experience all of the suffering and disease. And you also spoke about how we need to be careful what we read and what we see as important, such as the Nikayas, and because there are so many different translations of the Buddha's life in different languages by different authors, and we need to be able to pull and recognize the most important and pertinent information that has meaning behind it, because of all of the different translations of the life of the Buddha.
Good. One of these days, I can't wait to rejoice in old age with my little cane. And I go over there and I sit in the high chair of the high monk. And then you all are venerables. And you all hold the microphone and just repeat what I have been saying over the past 50 years to people. Right? Venerable Sergey, Venerable Lee, Venerable Julius, Venerable Jorge. See what the food did to me?
Mm-hmm. It does it to me. So.
I equate watermelon with Jorge. And so that's one of the great thing about being a teacher is if the teacher teaches right and he has a way of teaching where the student remembers, then the student remembers, and they just basically repeat basically I rejoice back. So I better do it right, because I'm going to be hearing it again and again, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I suck at it, I'm going to be one grumpy old monk that's listening to all of the really terrible music. When the teachings come out wrong or incorrect or inaccurate or not useful, not beneficial for anybody, and the timing is not right, it sounds like horrific music in someone's ears. So I have to be on point with my teachings, innovative, creative, so that you all come back one day. And this is the greatest gift of all that excels any other gifts. The gift of the Dhamma excels any other gifts in the world. So that's one way that you give back. Okay, so any questions we have so far? Okay. And obviously, I want you to read this top and then this illustration. So it's like a P. See, it's like a big P right here. So read across this right here. Okay. First noble truth. Oh, all of this is in alignment with the first noble truth right here. Grab the microphone real quick.
First noble truth, the truth of suffering. Happiness is always fleeting. Something is missing or not as quite as it should be or could be. One is dissatisfied and frustrated. There are mental and physical suffering components. One would be physical suffering, birth, old age, sickness, death. Birth is the gateway through which all other suffering naturally follows. Mental suffering, contact with what one despises, not being able to get what one wants, separation, frustration. The cause and effect view, suffering produces the causes for suffering. First noble truth and second noble truth have a circular relationship. Effect, cause, an endless repeating cycle. Truth 1 leads to truth 2, truth 2 leads to action 1. Cause to effect, effect to cause.
Oh, I love it. So some of these cheat sheets are like really awesome because the words that they use in it. This is how they reel people into Buddhism. The correct right words in the right context. So listen very carefully. Can I have my microphone back? When I hold it, it makes me feel important. The second noble truth. It is sensible to acknowledge the existence of a problem or a disease. Sensible to acknowledge the existence of a problem or a disease. Disease does not mean physical disease, but the disease of the mind. We call that the DSM-5, and disease of the body is the ICD-10. When an addiction gets out of hand, it's a disease. Alcohol dependence is a disease. Okay. Addicted to sex is a disease. Anything that costs you peace is a disease. Even when it comes to family, it's a disease. I have a unique way of teaching that is sharp and hits hard at home in the heart of the human. There are times where I describe people are like actively living cancers. What does that mean? That means that they're toxic, they're eating away at your life. So therefore, again, the problem is we ignore problems. We don't want to acknowledge what's going on at home with people and things and diseases and problems. So therefore, just that sentence alone, you sit and you meditate on that sentence. It is sensible to acknowledge the existence of a problem or a disease. It is intelligent to investigate the origin or the cause of the problem or disease. It is intelligent to investigate the origin. For the past so many years, what have I been saying? Deal with life intelligently. That would not be an intelligent thing. Every time you do something, ask yourself, is this the most intelligent thing right now to do? Running a stop sign, is that an intelligent thing to do? Not using a condom, is that an intelligent thing to do? Getting on a boat without a flare, getting on a boat without a marine radio, not inspecting your car before you drive, not inspecting your tire before you drive, is that an intelligent thing to do? People do dumb stuff every day, right? And never sit there to question themselves, is this an intelligent thing for me to do right now? You're in a car a lot, you play hockey a lot, make sure your gloves not torn. We trust everybody else but ourselves, right? We trust everybody else but ourselves. But we don't trust ourselves because we don't ask ourselves, is that an intelligent thing to do? Yesterday we were in a rush. Was that the most intelligent question you could ask in the moment of me trying to? Right. Novice Leak at the long end of the stick. He always does. Because you didn't ask yourself, is this the most intelligent thing right now to ask the venerable in the midst of trying to rush out the door, right? So that alone deserves for you to investigate, for you to remember always, is it intelligent? Okay. All this is under the second noble truth, folks. Is it reasonable to imagine how life could be without the problem or without the disease? Very important. Is it reasonable to imagine how life could be without the problem? So let me put it into context. Is it reasonable to imagine how life could be without her? Is it reasonable to imagine how life could be without him? They or it. Damn. People could not bear to imagine a life without her. Could not bear to imagine a life without him. Could not bear to imagine a life without my parents. Could not bear to imagine a life without my grandparents, my parents, my sister, my brother, anybody else in their life. That's why it leads to attachment. This is why we're studying the second noble truth right now. Desire for you to be in my life. Desire for you to be a part of my life. Desire that you must be in it or else I will not be happy. Desire that you not change during the course of this relationship. Desire that it is permanent and non-changing. Desire that it is under my control at all in any given time.
Yeah.
It is prudent to investigate and follow a path or treatment that will bring about the removal of a problem or disease. It is prudent. Anyone know the word prudent means? Go ahead.
Urgent, expedient, very important.
What else?
Mindful?
What else?
No, like following the rules to the extent.
Careful.
Possibly wise.
Reasonable. These points are universal or a treatment that will bring about the removal of a problem. The Buddha said this first before doctors came along. He was the world's first doctor. The Buddha was the world's first doctor. If we were to measure his intelligence and attainment, the Buddha had like triple doctorate degrees: philosophy, medicine, psychology. Imagine have 3 doctorates behind your name. MD, PhD, PsyD. And yet no other doctors in America, I've been in the clinical medicine field for 18 years. I've never heard a doctor read these 4 sentences to any patient. Why do you think so?
They suffer from the same.
No, because they want to make money.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna get you.
Why treat the root cause of the problem when we can just give a pill to treat the symptoms of a problem and make more money? And lo and behold, I don't know, some things I say or want to say and is saying or have said before, somewhere down the line, someone's going to call me out on it, but it is the truth. And that is that when I'm in psychotherapy with other therapists, the one thing I notice they don't ask. Is what do you think the root cause of the problem is? The one question that could end it all. The one question that could end suffering at its root, base, and cause. That's why it's important that the new emerging monks have to study and practice psychotherapy. And that is a question that we ask because they don't ask that. We help to cure them quick. We don't drag on a disease that long because life's too short. And that's why I like this little thing, right? And actually, this came out of its original. I was being cheap. I took the original, folded it, copied it, and then laminated it. And it was more money than to just buy another original. So that's where all your donation went. Me trying to be cheap and failed. But that is why I hope you all will take a picture of this at the end of class and reflect on it. He told the problem. He told you the cause of the problem, and he's teaching you how to cure the problem. All in one sheet. All in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sentences. Fix your life in 5 sentences. Fix your life in 5 sentences. For a cure to work, the patient must have faith in it. Now we move on to the third noble truth. Now we talk about the cure, also known as nirvana. This faith is not blind faith, but faith based on critical investigation and reason. The patient must have confidence that the treatment is going to work. CBT. Must have confidence that it is going to work. The patient must clearly focus on the cure's ultimate goal, which is the case of Buddhism to bring out the end of suffering. This includes the suffering of here and now, happiness and good fortune in future lives, and ultimate experience of nirvana. Nirvana is beyond words or description. Let me read it again. For a cure to work, the patient must have faith in it. This faith is not blind faith, but faith based on critical investigation and reason. The patient must have confidence that the treatment is going to work. The patient must clearly focus on the cure's ultimate goal, which is, in the case of Buddhism, to bring about an end to suffering. This includes the suffering of here and now, happiness and good fortune in future lives, and ultimate experience of nirvana. It is beyond words or description, nirvana. Now we move on to the fourth noble truth, which is the treatment. The Eightfold Path is the treatment of the disease of suffering. The Eightfold Path is the middle way between all extremes, the extremes of indulgence and luxury. That's why we sleep on the floor, no high beds, and give up everything. 3 pair of robes, not 30. The middle way, the path of moderation towards all things. The extreme, the self-mortification and self-deprivation. Deprivation. You know, a lot of girls want to do the Victoria's Secret thing and, you know, not eat. Anorexia nervosa, anorexia bulimia. Okay, you know what I mean? Self-deprivation and self-mortification. Let's not do that. The third and fourth noble truth are dynamic. The fourth lead to the third, which leads to another plane of experience. Any questions so far? When you all meditate, it's important that you don't forget the Four Noble Truths at all.
Question. So basically, a person can achieve nirvana even in like normal life. It doesn't necessarily be like, he or she doesn't necessarily need to be more. It's really cool.
Any humans can be an arahant.
Beautiful, man. And this is the only vehicle that we can find, right? No animal realms, no, just the human realm.
It's very hard.
Yeah, and
It's very hard for right. It's very hard for a fish to swim with AirPod Pros in its ears while it's swimming to listen to Dhamma. I understand.
And that's how big the sea of samsara is, apparently. Like ocean, like the sea of desires. When I'm in the beach, that's what I think about. I think about how the heck am I gonna escape this big ocean that's in front of me? But I have the boat, I have the vehicle, so there is a way.
And animals, they sort of kind of don't really need it. They already know what to do.
Then they don't know. That's what I've always learned. Whoever says they know, they don't.
Yeah, but I mean, but also they don't suffer from like like maybe they do. From
Maybe they
jealousy
probably
and
don't
stuff.
show you, just like you don't show some of the things that you go through to others.
Yeah.
People have a good way of doing that. That's how I would, because I always thought that, oh, they're so happy, but I could play pretend happy for pretty deep,
Mhm.
for very long,
Yeah.
but it comes out.
Let us meditate. Back straight, shoulders relaxed. Bringing a small smile to your face. Awareness of our back straight, awareness of our neck, awareness of our shoulder. Bring your awareness to the top of your head. Bring your awareness eyelids that is closed. Move your eyes around while it's closed. Bring your awareness to your nose. Play with your nose. Make it big, make it move. Bring your awareness to the in-breath. Let us take 3 deep breaths. Let us bring our awareness to the rising and falling of the abdomen. Know when you're breathing in. Know the relief of the exhale. Notice the effort of the inhale and the relief of the exhale. The easier way to nirvana is to focus on the breath. The easiest way to nirvana is to stop in your day and meditate. The easier way is to focus on the breath. We're not thinking about the past. We're not thinking about the future. You're in this moment with the breath. Take a deep breath, in breath, out breath. You realize that you are here, you are safe. The abdomen is rising. The abdomen is falling. You are at peace. As we meditate and reflect on the Four Noble Truths, we learn to slowly live a simple life, a life of non-complications, a life of less desires, a life of giving more. Bring your attention to the sound of the fan that is rotating. Analyze the sound of the fan in its rotation. Let us notice the rising and falling of the abdomen while still maintaining our focus on the sound of the fan. Let us take 2 deep breaths. Let us remind ourselves of our posture, mindfulness of our back. Straighten our back, straighten our shoulders, relaxing our shoulders. Our neck is straight, relaxing the muscles on our face. Bring a small smile to your face. Meditators are happy people. By bringing a small smile to one's face, one brings happiness to one's life. Breathing in, you know you're breathing in. Breathing out, you know you're breathing out. Everyone, let us now change position of meditation. Let us lie down. Let us now lie down. Lying down meditation. You can use that as a pillow. Jorge, you got a pillow? Right in there, right in that bag, right there. There you go, grab one. Mhm. Straighten your back, move around, make sure you pop and crack some joints and muscles. Let us bring our attentions to our toes. Wiggle your toes. Awareness of one's body. Kayanupassana. Bring your attention to your knees. Bring your attention to your hips. Bringing your attention to your abdomen. Place both hands on your abdomen. Let us take 2 deep breaths. Feel the abdomen. Bring your attention to your elbows. Bringing your attentions to your shoulders, moving your shoulders around, rotating your shoulders. Bring your attention to the top of your head, the crown of your head. Bringing your awareness back to the nose. Let us take 2 deep breaths through our nose. Your mind is now relaxed. Follow the breath. Let us remain mindful of our breath, to continue tracking the breath and not to be too comfortable in this position. In breath 1, out breath 1. In breath 2, out breath 2. In breath 3, out breath 3. The body is relaxed, the mind is alert, the mind is vigilant, the mind is mindful. In breath 4, out breath 4. Let us slowly bring our attention back to the sound of my voice. Let us relax our concentration. Slowly arise from your meditation. And slowly open your eyes when you're ready. Dạ chào chị. Anh chị vẫn đến được 12 giờ không? Ồ ok. Ok, 1 giờ gặp nhé. Yeah. Ok chị. And when you're ready, you all can rise up from your position. So you know someone's not mindful.
We can have.
I could tell he's sleeping because
I think he's in nirvana.
That's indeed.
Close enough.
It's always the novice.
I almost fell asleep.
It was quite cool.
Yeah, now you all know what a body scan meditation is like. And what it can do to you. It can put you to sleep if you're not mindful. And that's how you keep track of that's how you resist the mind and body, right? Resist the body's desire to shut down while the mind remains luminous to the breath, present with the breath. There's actually, see, when we're upright, you have no choice. You're like, oh God, that's so much to do. When you're laying down, you're like, oh, well, my body's telling me to go to sleep. From all the pressure, all of the gravity on the lower back. So you're learning about your bodies. You're learning about the mind, how luminous it has to be. And it is exactly that what makes people dumb, right? Because they fall asleep all the time and they don't think. And therefore they don't exercise, train this part of their entire body, the mind, their brain, to be alert, to be alert, vigilant, and mindful when eating, sleeping, brushing your teeth, waking up, lying down, I know I'm lying down, waking up, I know I'm waking up, sitting, I know I'm sitting. Do you know when you're sitting? So that's why the practice has to be strengthened daily so that you're mindful no matter what you're doing. Driving. Some people drive and they fall asleep when they're driving. You know what I mean? Because the sleeping is a habit. They're not used to the driving. They're not used to being the alert, mindful. You have so much to do when you're driving. Looking out for idiots, anticipating the tire in front of you blowing off. Street signs, there's so many street signs. You have to gather information coming in, processing information. Speed, always adjusting your speed. If you fall asleep.
Yeah, one book I read on driving when I was just starting driving. It's like when you drive, you always need to expect that you're like on in a war. You need to like,
Yeah.
anticipate that anything happens.
There's a lot going on.
Okay, so we're going to have lunch now. I'm pretty sure everyone's hungry. So, did you all like the Vietnamese foods? The types of food? Or you? Oh,
Yeah,
really?
I like rice. So big rice.
No Panera Bread, no Chipotle.
No.
Oh, good. I have a good crowd of students. Great. That's what I was hoping to hear.
Oh.
Sometimes you can't please everybody. Not everyone likes rice all the time.
Oh.
So let us further this conversation at with the timing situation. We're going to eat at Pho King Yang, which is next to my dad's office,
Oh, the one, yeah.
8800 49th Street North. Let's meet at 8800 49th Street North.
Got it.
And 8800 49th Street, unit 205. But just go there. We're all gonna meet there right now to save time. Thank you all for joining across the world.
49th Street, got it. Oh, I'm gonna take a picture of the,
Oh my goodness, what is happening? Today is the 21st.
Wait, is it the?
Oh, goodness, what is happening?
oh, I didn't find that.
You know, where-
8840,
This one?
no, 49th Street. 800, so it would be 8800.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And 40, yeah, right there. Yep. 849. Okay.
Oh. Oh dear.
Let me go grab my phone. So I can get it.
Well, not so fast, folks. Not so fast. How about everybody grab a snack for a second? I have a podcast at 12.
Okay.
So grab
you.
a snack here for a second. And we have an apple here. Hold down your hunger for a second. Real quick. Take the cushions back out. Have a seat. Today we learned some endurance.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I want to get my phone. Take a picture of the cheat sheet.
Okay, the picture of the cheat sheet. Okay. Oh goodness, there's a big watermelon in front of me. Podcast. That needs to be podcast. Okay. All right. Life of a monk.
Do you have plans after this, Julius?
Not really.
Nada? Okay.
Anyone have any questions on oh, YouTube's pretty quiet. Let's distribute these apples too for people. Here. Let us distribute these apples for people. A lot of fiber in there too.
No?
It's before 12, so we can still eat. 6 minutes. Rules for monks.
Okay, so I'm going to deactivate everything but YouTube. And I need to reconfigure this real quick for all of you that's watching overseas. I mean, across the world. Obviously, I forgot I had a podcast. So you all can listen to the podcast here shortly. I'm going to go live again. I need my primary computer for my StreamYard. So I'll be back on live here shortly.